Okay, let's pop the hood on this. Well, that opens pretty unique.
Yeah, it's kind of a funny way to open. It's also kind of resistant to hood peel off.
Yeah, that would help a lot in that scenario. Now,
Wipers are another thing that have nothing to do with Factory 5. They don't offer any kind of windshield wiper option on this car, but I have interval wipers in it. So.
Nice. Okay, well, let's get to the heart of the car here. So that is a Coyote 5-liter, and that's just your standard Coyote 5-liter, or?
It's a Ford Racing Illuminator.
Oh, so it's all aluminum block.
Well, they're all, it's a little bit of a misnomer when it comes to the Coyote because they're all aluminum. But Ford Racing Illuminator has some upgraded internal parts compared to the production motor.
So it's got some forged internals.
Forged internal parts. It's supposed to have the Boss valve springs in it. It has a production manifold and production cams.
Okay, well that's shoehorned in here pretty good. Like, are those headers custom? I'm going to assume they are.
They're actually headers that are made by BBK for a Coyote application in a Factory 5 street rod. So that's not a true custom. It's something that was available commercially.
Well, hey, that's nice when you can get something like that, because that's looking like a pretty tight fit in there. Like this side actually doesn't look as bad as the other side. We'll get around there. That's interesting that the alternator kind of mounts backwards of how most engines are.
Yeah, well, the Factory 5 suggests that you use some scrubby Honda alternator, which is 65 or 70 amps, something like that. That's never going to run a car like this successfully. So we use the Ford Coyote alternator, the alternator they would put on a Mustang. You can buy that alternator kit, but it's mounted reverse. And problem number one is, in order to make things run smooth, Ford uses a clutched hub on the alternator in the Mustang. So if you run it in reverse, it just freewheels. And when we first fired the car up, we had no alternator voltage. It took a little bit of time to figure out what was going on, and finally, once we realized what was happening with the freewheeling hub, we switched it to a solid hub, and it works good. Only this is, I think it's a 160 amp alternator, so you got lots of power for big fuel pumps and big coil packs and a big computer that runs the car and so on. There's no stereo, so I guess you don't need power for that. But.
So yeah, it's pretty tight in some spots here. You ever have any frame clearance issues?
No, we didn't clearance anything on the frame, but that spot you were just looking at is indicative of how everything fits on the car. The tunnel has a lot of problems like this too. I think I modified the tunnel something like 21 times in order to get it to fit around the transmission and allow enough of the tunnel to be removed so that the engine and transmission can be pulled out of the car for service. There are lots of cars, customs like this, that are built without any thought to ever taking the drivetrain out in case it blows up or needs to be changed or
Absolutely.
Whatever. But this car is set up so that it can be taken apart.
Yeah, awesome. Well, you can tell that you have some mechanical background when you were building this, because you can see that this is serviceable.
Yeah.
Now, it looks like you got an electric water pump on it?
No, it's not an electric water pump.
Okay, no.
It's
It's a belt drive. It's hard to see with but it's electric fan, but
it's electric fan.
belt
And
driven.
the fan is controlled. The engine management system is Ford Racing Control Pack, and then it has custom tuning by Techmotion, of course.
Yep.
But the fan is actually driven by Control Pack. The starter is also driven by Control Pack, so you can set it up with the starter running directly off the key switch, but the appropriate way to do it with a computer managed system like this is I provide a key switch trigger to the Ford computer, and then the Ford computer runs the starter, and that's exactly how it works in the Mustang. So that's how this car works.
Now let's take a look at. Tell me a little bit about the suspension, because that's pretty unique that you got your coilovers
Right, so this
Inboard
is,
there.
this is a factory 5 part. It's one of the attractive parts of this kit is the front suspension, which you can put any alignment you want on. It's a double A-arm inboard coilover suspension. You don't get a lot of camber gain in the car when you do a turn-in on it, and it is one of the secrets to how well this car really handles. Now, that's a part that's put on unmodified from Factory 5. It's one of the few parts that's on here that's straight up kit.
Nice. So now you do hit the local car shows, and you don't mind people coming up and asking you questions about your car, and I take it that's why you go to the car shows,
I can
right?
talk about this car or other cars all day long.
Awesome, awesome. Well, what do you think? Do you think we could fire it up and hear a listen to how it sounds?
Sure we can.
Okay, let's get the hood closed and go ahead and do that. Let's see how you get in and out of this beast.
It's a small car, but it's bigger than it looks.
Looking good. That sounds really good. Look at it. Pretty nice day out. How do you feel about going for a little spin?
I'm always up for that.
All right, sounds good. Let's go for a ride. Okay, we're strapped in. We're getting ready to go for a ride. You can see it's a pretty tight fit in here. Got the harness done up. Some nice gauges there. Get a little shot. I don't know if you can see that, but you can see the reverse camera. So I'm gonna do my best to hold the phone while we're going for a ride, but I forgot my mount and everything, so we'll see how it goes. I was just looking at your gauge layout here, and I noticed that your tack is closer to you than your speedometer. Why is that?
Well, it's more important on a track to have the tack than it is to have the speedometer. The speedometer you can glance at casually on the road, but
Sure.
the tack is something you need in a race. This Speed Hut tack uses progressive shift lights here and a master shift here, so it's programmable, so you can set the progression, and as you begin to approach your shift point, the lights will start to light up in sequence. When you hit the shift point, they'll all light up, including the master, and if you exceed your shift point, they begin to flash.
Okay, right on. Well, we'll see if we can get a shot of that later on.
Oh, it's a good idea to warm it up a little first.
Oh yeah, for sure. Nice burble when you let off the gas.
Yeah. My wife wears hearing protection in the car, but I don't. I don't think it's really that bad.
No, it's not too bad.
It's difficult to hold a conversation in it though. And I do have a little Bluetooth speaker in here, but it's more or less useless because you can't hear it except with the windows up and the most sedate cruise. That's not what this car is about. That gravel trucker's taking a little liberty with the center line, huh?
Yeah, I'd say.
longer drive or just a really short one?
We'll go a little longer if you're okay with
All
that.
right, well, we'll take a rip down Stony Trail. It's a super mesh transmission, but with the McLeod RXT Street Twin clutch, it's a good idea to get into the habit of double clutching it on a downshift, because on a track, if you have a steering input and you downshift it without a double clutch, without rev matching it, you can unsettle the car, because the clutch is actually very aggressive.
Yes.
It doesn't seem aggressive and it doesn't shudder when you take off like a lot of these ceramic clutches do, but it's a very strong clutch. So you gotta, and with a stick axle car like this, it's real easy to get it unsettled with a
Sure, absolutely.
radical change in dynamics.
Well, you know a lot more about racing on the track than I do, so I'm going to take your word for all of that, Matthew.
Well,
I'm hoping to change that coming up here, but the new track's going in. Looking forward to it.
I'm a pretty amateur road race guy, but I have made thousands and thousands and thousands of drag passes, so I'm a pretty seasoned drag racer. This car has a two-step on it as well. We come out on the strip around 6,000 or 6,200, depending on the traction conditions. And I could go a little higher, but I set the red line at 7,200. With the production manifold, that's about right, I think. Plus, a little less red line means a little more durability.
Sure. You can sure feel how responsive the steering I wanted to take this opportunity to thank you for showing us the car. It is a gorgeous car. You've got lots of hours into it, a lot of little details that people can't, unless you look really close, they're not going to catch. So it's nice that you pointed some of those out. So thank you very much.
You're welcome, and come out and see us at a car show anytime, or stop by the shop anytime you like. Tech Motion Chassis Dyno here in Calgary.
Awesome. Okay. Well, thanks for joining us on the channel, and stay tuned. We'll bring you some more content.